Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to beautiful Austria, welcome to the equally beautiful Aprilia Tuareg Rally. Now I first saw this bike at EICMA last year and was immediately drawn to it. I think it looked stunning, but the proof is in the pudding. What's it going to be like on the road here in the lower Austrian Alps? We've got 2 days of testing to see what this beefed up Tuareg feels like on the road. So the weather's taken a bit of a turn for the worse. We've had some beautiful conditions 2 days here in Austria, but finally the heavens have opened. So we're just going to hide back and give you a little verdict on the new Tuareg 660 Rally for 2024. Now it was back in, was it 2022 that I rode the original Tuareg, which was kind of based on the RS 660, a bike that I really love from Aprilia that I've raced previously. So it shares that same 660 parallel twin, but obviously it's been retuned and redesigned for the Tuareg. So the Tuareg has 20 less horsepower than the RS 660. So we're up to 80 horsepower at 9,250 RPM and 70 Newton meters torque at 7,500 RPM. Now they're compared to the standard Tuareg and the Rally, apart from the dramatic colours and the obvious race exhaust with titanium muffler, which is all Euro 5 plus. It's now got the big beak at the front rather than the low front mudguard that the original Tuareg had. We've got a different chain guard. The seat has come 20 mil higher, so we're actually at 880 mil on the seat, which makes it one of the highest seats in this category. The bars are a little bit taller and the suspension has been tweaked slightly. We've still got 240 mil of suspension travel, but we've got linear springs rather than progressive springs on the front. And then obviously, as mentioned before, just this stunning livery. The standard bike comes in at just under 11,000 at 10,900. And if you want to go for the Rally, you're at £12,400, which when you look at what you get, that's quite a lot of extra bike for not a lot of extra money. In terms of rider aids and electronics, it's kind of leading the field in this middleweight adventure category. So we've got multiple rider modes, which is urban, explorer, off-road, and an individual mode that you can tweak. You've got traction control, which you can play with, engine brake strategy. ABS is either on, off, completely, or you can have an ABS off-road mode, which is ABS on the front and nothing on the rear. In terms of other specifications, we've got a very clear, very easy to use switchgear. We've got a cruise control, which is completely standard on both models. We've also got, on the Rally version, the heavy duty wheels and spokes. It's a lot of bike for £12,500. It's one of the most expensive bikes in this middleweight category. But it's got the most modes, it's got the most advanced rider aids, it's got the full race exhaust, which is Euro 5 plus, but sounds great. It's got the highest seat, the biggest travel suspension. It's got the big 21-inch front wheel, which is heavy duty. Obviously, this has been a road test, not an off-road test. We're going to bring you a specific off-road test in a couple of weeks. But in terms of as a road bike and as a road test, it's impressed us on the road. Obviously, with that big seat height, which is 880 mil, it's a little bit difficult for shorter riders like me, but it just means you've just got to plan whereabouts you're going to be and where you're going to put your feet down. It's not over 900, it's not over intimidating. And I think, if I remember rightly, Aprilia quote a weight of under 200 grams, so it's not a heavy bike to be on your tiptoes. It's reasonably manageable. When you start riding the bike, it doesn't necessarily feel like a really tall, on stilts, 21-inch front-wheeled bike. It feels much more of a 19-inch front-wheeled adventure bike than a 21-inch front-wheeled adventure bike. On some bikes, you feel that you're riding an off-road bike on road. With the Aprilia, it feels much more of a road bike, even though it's got obvious off-road capabilities. The engine's got lots of character and lots of soul, and it sounds really good. You've got this beautiful induction noise, this on the airbox, and then you've got the noise of this full exhaust system. When you close the throttle, you get lovely popping and banging on the overrun. It just gives you a little bit more of a thrill. It just gives you a little bit more excitement. It just gives you a little bit more energy and soul. It feels like you're part of the bike. It's not soulless. You can hear the airbox, you can hear the mechanics, you can hear the popping, you can hear the overrun. But it's not all about revving the bike and enjoying the power, which is nearly class leading in this category. The switchgear is very simple and easy to use. The modes are very simple to move on the fly. If you switch the traction control off and you turn off the ignition and you switch it back on again, the traction control stays off. Cruise control is completely standard, and the screen isn't too bad. It's non-adjustable, but it's reasonable. It's not a token gesture. It's reasonable for riders of my size, although it'd be interesting when we get some taller riders on test. The suspension, even though we've got a lot of travel, that 240 mil of travel, it's all controlled travel, and that's the real key thing here. Some bikes have got lots of travel, but they've got lots of movement. But the Aprilia seems very composed when you're attacking corners at speed. Again, you notice that you're riding an adventure-styled middleweight bike and trying to make it do something that it was not necessarily designed for when you're attacking corners, but it's more than happy to be ridden aggressively. The ground clearance is good, you can get some big lean, and it remains stable. On the motorway, again, stability is excellent. I could just do with a little bit more wind protection when you get to that high speed and you set the cruise control. In terms of negatives, the seat is narrow and quite firm. After a full day in the saddle, you do start to move around a bit and you want a little bit of comfort. But if you wanted a more comfortable adventure bike, there are other models out there. In terms of Aprilia and their reliability, I'm sure there's going to be people questioning or going, oh, it's an Aprilia. But I've raced the RS660 on the roads in Ireland and at the northwest and absolutely thrashed it to an inch of its life, and the bike never missed a beat. I've got multiple friends who've raced the TT and the Manx and other Irish road races on the RS660, so I know that this engine is absolutely bulletproof. And it's difficult to see where Aprilia are cutting corners. The feel, the build quality, it all seems to be very top level, as you'd expect from Aprilia. The dash, the switchgear, the exhaust, everything is a very high quality and finished to a very high level, which is why it's £12,400. I guess that's the only other negative, in that at £12,500 we're getting into big bike adventure category, not middleweight adventure category. This is the most expensive bike in this kind of middleweight 660, 750 adventure bike class. At the end of the day, it's a 659cc parallel twin producing 80 horsepower that's £12,500. But my counter argument of that is, of all the adventure bikes, I think, I'd have to double check, when I open my garage door on a Sunday morning, this is the one that I want to see. This, to me, is the most desirable. This is the most attractive. It's the most racy. It's got the most character. When you ride it, it's fun and it's enjoyable. It burbles. It's exciting. It handles. It does everything you want from an adventure bike. And it looks fantastic too. The two big question marks are going to be, is it all show and no go, or can this perform off-road as well as it does on-road? And the second question, when it's £12,500, which is about 2 to 2.5 more than the competition, are people going to step up and pay that extra money for the Aprilia Rally? Or are they going to stick with a standard Tuareg at 10.9, or maybe even the Japanese competition, which is even cheaper? We hope you've enjoyed watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this video. If you've got any technical questions, you want some details, how tall I am and how tall the seat is, fire some technical questions below. Myself or one of the team will get back to you as soon as we can. Don't forget to subscribe and keep tuned, because we're going to be smashing this off-road in a couple of weeks' time.